This is the second time we're running through this trait of empathy. And the reason that we're focusing on it, and the reason we keep coming back to it is one of the most powerful tools you've got for levitating, for lifting yourself up out of the realm of the natural. We are caught in all sorts of natural barriers and limitations. There's all sorts of things that in our physical universe that prevents us from getting what we want or what we need. And you've got to find a way to hurdle over those barriers. You've got to levitate. You need a miracle. So empathy is not possible, we kept stressing, in the natural world. There is no empathy in nature. It can't be, because if lions empathized, we said, they would starve. If weeds empathized, they'd go out of business, right? In the natural world, you have to heartlessly kill or be killed, right? The big fish can't think of the crisis when this small fish gets eaten and his mother goes looking for him, yeah? The big fish can't think that, because the big fish is going to end up starving if he thinks that. So therefore, in the natural world, there can never be empathy. When you empathize, therefore, you pop yourself up out of the world of nature. Now anything can happen. So the reason we're going through this is one of the prerequisites of a miracle. If you need miracles, you have to live in the world of empathy. You have to keep asking, okay, what does the other person need? Where are they holding? What are they feeling right now? Once you're like that, then you're not participating in nature anymore. Then anything can happen. So he says, V'hine b'yanu b'makam acher. We made clear in another place. Dahad Amru Chazal, this that our sages taught us in the Gemara in Nedarim. The Talmud Nedarim, page 39b, says, Ben Gilo Notel Echad Mishishim Bechalio. When someone the same age as a sick person comes to visit that sick person, he takes away a 60th of the sick person's suffering. So we've all heard something like this before, but you never heard that it was someone who was the same age. Why does the Gemara say it's someone of the same age, Ben Gilo? What exactly is that? So Rabbi Yochanan says, Lav dafka Ben Gilo. It doesn't have to be somebody the same age. Then why did the Talmud mention someone of the same age? That was one illustration of a larger principle. The biur dvarim hu mishum nosei ba'ol. The whole way that this thing works, that when you visit a sick person, that you actually take away a 60th of their suffering, the way that it works is through empathy. Dinyan nosei ba'ol maktin ansho shel hasovel. When you empathize with another, you reduce their suffering. When you go to visit somebody and you feel their pain, you reduce the debt that their pain was paying off. Because you reduced the debt that their pain was paying off, therefore, you end up reducing their pain because they don't need to suffer as much anymore because their debt is partially paid. It's as if you heard about somebody who they had a $100,000 mortgage and you went down to the bank and you dumped $10,000 in the bank. That's what happens when you visit a sick person. Yeah? Now they've only got $90,000 left to pay. V'lo amru ben gilo. Why is it mentioned that it's someone of the same age? Why does the Gemara specify that? Not because the person has to be the same age. Rak mishum shishiru chazal b'midas hachnasaso shel adam et atzmo b'tzar chavero v'ad kama hu nosei ba'olito. Here our sages are revealing a psychological principle. The Torah says this principle that how much are you truly able to feel the joy or the agony of another person? So the answer is, the more that person's like you, the more that you feel the agony or the pain. So for example, there was just a plane crash. Does it make any difference to you if I tell you that there are 300 people on the plane who many of whom were very seriously injured, and if I say there were some on the plane that were Jewish, does that change your experience at all? The answer is it's much easier for me to empathize with someone who's like me. So the more things that I tell you about them that are like you, the more you empathize with what they're going through. What about if I tell you that, let's say that you're a 35-year-old father of 3, and your kids' ages are 7, 9, and 11, and I say, one of the people on the plane was a Jew from Los Angeles who lived on your street, who was 35 years old, who had children ages 7, 9, and 11. Now it's much easier to feel the agony of the situation. Why? Because the more similar the person is to you, the easier it is to empathize. This world was created for you to achieve perfection. Okay, now, what does it mean to achieve perfection? When you're born, you are on a certain trajectory. You're driving down a certain path in the middle of a desert. Okay? That path, if you had to describe it, like what are the GPS coordinates of this path? She would say, this path heads directly towards selfishness. That's the path that every human being is born on when they drop into this world. I've said this before, feed me, cuddle me, keep me warm, change my diapers, and if you don't do this, I will blast your ears out. Okay? That is how people come into the world. Okay, now, if they don't get off that path, then 50 years later, what you're dealing with is a 50-year-old baby. Their sensitivities are the same. Feed me, take care of me, keep me warm, cuddle me, take care of all of my needs, or I will blast your ears out. It's all about me and my satisfaction. That's this path that we're born into. The goal is to veer off of that path. The goal is that I end up not remaining on that path my whole life. I get to a different path, which is the path that leads in that direction, 180 degrees opposite, which is, this path is called, I'm here to make your dreams come true. Okay? There's only two paths, right? And then there's everything in between that. But in other words, there's two basic directions a person can go in. I can go in this direction of it's all about me or it's all about you. That's the options. So what happens is like this. God wants me to veer and get off this path. He wants me to achieve the goal of, I'm here to make your dreams come true. There's two ways for me to do that. One way for me to do that is I can learn Torah, I can work on myself, I can practice making little sacrifices until it doesn't hurt so much, and then I can make bigger sacrifices. There's a whole process that I can go through in order to become that person. Now, I don't want to do that. Let's say that my approach in life is anything but pain. Just don't make me suffer. I can't handle pain. So if that's my approach, I'm never going to be able to turn myself. So Hashem says, sweetie, don't worry, I love you. You can't turn yourself, I'll turn you. And then God creates these situations, which I would call turners. Yeah? In Hebrew, when you veer off of a path, that's called sar. Samach resh, sar, you veer away. So if I turn myself, that's called musar. If I don't want to turn myself, Hashem says, don't worry, I have ways. I'll send you turners called yisurim. Same word. Yeah, I'll help you get off that path. So when a person does something that's destructive, they head down a path that's not a good path, and they need to be turned. So there's a special mechanism in the world called midas hadin, and it says, I will ensure that this person gets turned. And then it starts orchestrating scenarios that will help turn the person. And midas hadin is actually created by my mistake. When I choose the wrong option, I create this energy of midas hadin, and that midas hadin looks like debt. So if I make the wrong turn, I create, let's say, 100 units of debt. So now, 100 units of debt is pretty heavy. That's going to hurt a lot. Someone who is concerned that I won't be able to handle the 100 units of hurt that I have to go through right now could then come, empathize with me. He can actually take some of the Yisurim. How? He'll sit with me and he empathizes and he feels my pain. So he's actually suffering now. That drains off midas hadin. It drains off that debt. And now I'm not going to suffer as much. Okay, now you're asking, but there still is a problem because if I don't get my full 100 units of debt, I'm not going to be able to make the curve. I needed that full 100 units of debt in order to make the curve. So the answer is that that other guy actually lifts himself up higher by feeling my pain. He actually turns and becomes even bigger and better than he was. That creates a light in the world. Now I'm affected vicariously by his light. So I end up making the turn, or I have the opportunity of making the turn, not necessarily through my suffering, but through the immense moral light that he gives off because of the moral achievement he has by sacrificing for me. So it's not as heroic as if I did it myself, but I could still end up making the curve. I'm handing you a tool that is so accessible. I don't want to say it's easy to use because it's painful, but it's so accessible. You can empathize anytime that you want. You just have to look at what's going on in the world. And you can, and right away you can do something positive. You just feel the pain that another person's feeling. This is like, no one would ever dream of this in a million years. Yeah? There's no political scientist who has ever come up with this solution. There's no psychologist who will ever prescribe this for you. This is a unique gift of Torah. The Torah tells you here, there's a way to make things better for somebody just by feeling what they're feeling. Yeah, it's beyond comprehension what you're being. These are secrets. These are secrets that are being revealed. This is from Mount Sinai. It's generation after generation after generation. We carry through this through history. This is how the universe functions.